So we're getting into the beginning of February here. In the last few weeks, we've had a lot of communications related to these large installations that we're doing now. And I thought I would go over some of the challenges with delivery of aquariums to job sites and how many we've done through the years. And there's a lot of them for sure. Are you coming? Are you coming or not? You don't care? He doesn't want to come. So I could go down a plethora of installs and how they happen and all the strategic planning that goes into a very large aquarium installation. Even this, the 1680 here, this was flown in with a crane over in the Sarasota area, and it was too big, so the client wanted us to replace it with a little bit of a smaller aquarium, a foot thinner and a foot shorter. So we had originally flown it in with a crane, and then we flew it back out when we built the new tank. So this was a double move with a crane. And we go into even the 5000 in Fort Lauderdale. That was another one, flown in with a crane with plumbing, 6-inch transfer pipes under the concrete slab that joined the adjacent sumps adjacent to either side of the aquarium. That was a really neat fly-in local. We flew in a 16-foot tall cylinder into the restaurant in Louisville, Kentucky at that time, which was brand new. It was called Coba Casino. That was 16 feet by 7 foot in diameter. So that was a rather large one we flew in. I delivered the FRP aquarium to the Smithsonian on a structural platform and wheeled it right in and put it into place. That was a really cool install. About a 1600 into an 8th floor penthouse over on Miami Beach on the main street. That again was a really intense installation. We flew it in over the railing on the west side of the building onto a platform to receive it, and then the riggers took it from there and brought it back down to the floor. We stood it up and rolled it into place until the site was ready about a year later. We flew in the 3-piece aquarium that's 6,000 gallons up in Atlanta. Residential, that was quite an interesting delivery and install. There was a trench on the floor to receive the aquarium when we bolted it together. There were some plumbing pipes underground that went into the remote filtration room. Pretty normal for us, but it's a very important thing to recognize. You're doing a lot of pre-thinking before the deliveries of these aquariums, and all that comes together because, again, it's all planned and orchestrated, working with the builders, the architects, designers, plumbers, electricians, HVAC guys, you name it. We flew in a 600-gallon jellyfish aquarium to the roof of a building in downtown Miami. That was very fascinating with a helicopter of all things. And typically I get the fun of connecting the straps to that helicopter. That was pretty intense. And then down this staircase from the roof down to the level of where it rested on the 52nd floor of the building. We did another fly-in over the roof on a residence at Miami Beach. That was about a 720-gallon. That one flew over the roof to the backside of the house and then in through the entry doors and onto the stand there. There's a one that we built locally, close by, about 900-gallon cichlid aquarium. That particular one, we, again, flew in with the crane company, literally over the house, into the backyard, and onto pads on the ground, and into the house and onto the stand. We also flew in another large FRP tank with acrylic viewing windows on 4 sides all around viewing. That was up at Center in the Square in Roanoke, Virginia, a public space city center up there. That particular aquarium, was taken off the truck with the crane and put down onto very low rolling carts, and then that was brought over an opening in the floor where the riggers took it from there and lowered the tank into a recess in the ground about 2 feet. That was quite a fun install. And we delivered the 20-foot long jellyfish aquarium at Stake 954. That was about 17 years ago. We pulled that off with a lull, put it on the rolling carts that were low to the ground, and rolled that in through the building to the stand where it rests. Jack that up on the jet lift tables and push that off onto the stand. That had plumbing pipes that were core drilled through the post-tension slab that carries those pipes down to a remote filtration space, which is basically in the garage, air conditioned. And that one, again, is a beautiful installation with a really great detailed room of everything you need to keep and run a healthy jellyfish aquarium. We've done numerous lull installations, so you get a heavy-duty all-terrain forklift. There was a big one down And the Florida Keys that we did with Design Source, that was about a 9 or 10 foot long aquarium that's pushing out on this heavy duty lull, and you could take it, pick it up, and move it into the front entryway of a home. That's pretty straightforward too, but again, you have to really strategically think about how you're going to do it, have the right platforms, have all the equipment in advance, and set that tank onto either the rolling dart, dolly, or a cart that's able to adjust and level up and down. We delivered one over here over towards Hillsboro. There was a jellyfish aquarium to the second floor that didn't require a massive lull, but it was a brand new lull that had air conditioning. Actually, it was funny, Joe ran that unit since he's certified to run those, and it was only up to the second floor, and it was hot outside and it had rain that day, so we actually communicated with on the cell phone while he's sitting in the air conditioning. It was kind of funny. I've probably done crane deliveries and all-terrain vehicle deliveries into residents and commercial locations as well, probably 100 times by now, so we're very used to it. It's just a lot of really good pre-planning. When you go with the delivery, you also have to really think about all that MEP. There's the saltwater pond we did over Miami Beach. There was a whole plethora of pipes that ran from an elevated filtration space in the garage over to the pond that was sunken in the ground. All that plumbing had to be put in place, pressure tested and checked before they poured the slab. So again, once those pipes get encased in the concrete, everything has to be on point and accurate. So when the installation goes into play, that everything is right where it needs to be. There's so many other ones that I've gone through, an upper floor or 2 floors up, and then running a pipe set down into the basement or the lower floor space for the filtration systems that's in a remote room, numerous remote rooms. But really that strategic planning and all of that thinking, putting it on paper, getting it into drawings, whether it's in CAD or SolidWorks or SketchUp or whatever we're using, it's very important that the communication is there, that the planning is in place, and that all of that is executed in concert with the different trades, the contractor of record. And a lot of times we have to put these aquariums in before the second floor goes up or before the roof goes up. And it's way better to have it like that than to start trying to figure out all this MEP stuff after the fact. You really need that mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Very important to have that planned out in advance. We flew in another one over on the west coast of Florida. That was a big cylinder with palm trees in the background. That was really another great install that's really developing well now. It's just beautiful to see how successful these aquariums can become and overgrow over time, like the 5,000 we have in Fort Lauderdale. It's just fascinating. So we're looking forward to helping you learn more every time we do a video or every time we build another project to help yourself recognize how important it is to really plan out your aquarium. You're going to build this big aquarium for years to come and you want it to be working and functioning properly. So strategically plan it out, make sure you execute and follow the plan, and then you can end up with results like this. Remember to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.